Hey everybody, welcome back to the, I guess, journey. Still a journey. This will be more the discussion of Resident Evil 3. And there is a lot to talk about here. I think I missed that when I first played too, so I'm going to have to check that after our dream sequence. But, there we go. But yeah, the game is a bit short, and it's really weird because it's kind of the same as the original three, time-wise. But somehow, if you take this game, and it's 6 hours, we'll say, you take the 6 hours for this, and you take 6 hours for the original game, there's a million more things to see. There's so many locations. They have, well, I don't know if I can really count the boutique. That's like a special thing when you beat the game. But I don't know. I feel like there's so much missing. Like the clock tower itself is taken out. Instead, that's the portion where Jill is on the bridge. The clock tower is actually in the background, which I didn't realize when I was playing. But I watched someone else play it. I was like, oh, okay. So it was interesting. It was like, okay, well, the clock tower is gone. Once again, the puzzle's gone there. You have to get, like, the...
3 more days, then I can kiss this town goodbye.
Okay, no, I think I did see that. Yeah. So, yeah, the time and everything... Ooh. That's weird. Yeah. You can see it there, but boom. Classic Jill costume. I did not have the costumes installed. I was incorrectamundo about that. So, classic Jill. Also, oh, there's so much to say. I have so much to say right now. So, Resident Evil 3 is my favorite Resident Evil. It's like, it always kind of goes back and forth. It's either Resident Evil 3 or the Resident Evil remake, of course. So those have always been the top two, and it's just like, man, I like this one, I like that one. It is back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Brad, is that you?
And
Listen, you gotta get out of there.
I always like
talking
the
about?
Nemesis element of the game.
Right now.
Alright, let me grab my...
And so Nemesis, as awesome as Nemesis is, Nemesis isn't the same. It feels more scripted. And also, I guess that's another thing. It feels, more scripted. But going back to like the whole 5 hours in this versus 5 hours in the original game, one of the things is that you encounter Nemesis, I feel like, more in the original game. I don't really remember 100%.
What the hell is that thing?
There's definitely some different stuff going on in this game compared to the original. I wish she didn't have the little armband on. Oh, okay. Never actually like waited around to see.
What the hell?
What happened?
No way.
Oof. That's still crazy. Still crazy. So, with the 5 hour thing, I feel like you're running an Nemesis way more. Like we have our epic opening. Actually, can we skip that? So we have our epic opening, and this is cool. And I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. Like, you know, you first, I forgot that happens. Let's skip that again. This is a really good segment because you can't really tell if you're moving too slow, but you can't move any faster. Like, you But yeah, so this is like, okay, that's pretty awesome. That's a cool way to start it, because in the original game, it was literally like an explosion went off and she jumped through a wall that exploded, and then a couple zombies end up following you. Let's see if there's anything random. And I don't know if this counts as a new game plus either.
Over here.
So we'll have to see. Because
You okay?
it didn't say anything about like, hey, here's your items and
But right now it's
yeah,
kinda hard
this
on
and
the
that.
two stars left in town. You and me. I'm not sticking around. Just look around you. The longer we wait, the more screwed we are.
Brad Vickers.
This
Bolton.
all happened so fast.
I don't know.
Man, that guy was booking it. He was so fast. He had to have been phasing through stuff. Didn't really take a lot of time to look. Ooh. Interesting. That kind of makes me think of RE2 with the back being blown out.
Hey, wait! Down here!
That scared me, actually. Opera Juliet, performed at Raccoon City Hall. The story of her magnificent life. Interesting. Raccoon Real Estate. 9-ball. This is pretty cool to just kind of take in for a second.
We could be dreaming. How could this many people be infected?
I like this shot. This game needs a photo mode. If I could like zoom in over to where he is, that would be pretty sweet. I don't know why that didn't go off when I pressed it before, but whatever. Bar jack.
Brad! Here they come!
See, this whole segment, there's so much that it's condensing.
So many.
It's just so weird. Like, this is the bar where you talk to Brad.
Door behind you, go!
You either shoot the zombie or you can watch it. You can watch Brad shoot the zombie. That's one of the options in the original game. He dies either way, or at least he gets attacked.
Go for it.
Come on, Till. We know how this ends.
No, I don't.
Are we still a team?
Always.
Then do me a favor. Don't fuck up like I did. Go!
See, and he gets he definitely gets a hero's ending for sure compared to how he died, but it's just not as spectacular, you know. It just didn't look as cool. It wasn't as momentous of a death for his character, and the same for Mikhail. Same thing. It was like there's no real build up with him or anything like that. Like, we start the game. We'll see when we get to the first boss. But like, we see him and he's already injured. We don't really get the time. As weird as it is to say, we did get a bit of build up for his character.
Parking garage.
Like, I can't believe we don't get to come back and see him dead. That was like one of the coolest things about 3. 3, I feel like that's why 3 is my favorite. Because there's all the options and the way you can do things, like choosing to be able to fight Nemesis or running from him. If you fight Nemesis, he's down, but if you run from Nemesis, you escape him, but eventually he shows up unscripted and it's just like, bam, here's Nemesis.
What's your name? I can't
And so
leave you behind.
that I love, because it totally changes how you play the game, because you can run from him and then it's like, okay, I escaped. Nemesis will show up totally at random,
Missy?
and it's like, holy crap. That's scary. So it's just interesting. You know, like that's one of the really big options of the game. Thank you. Some stuff you can actually activate ahead of time. Well, I shouldn't say ahead of time. You can choose which order you do things, and that will change what cutscenes you can get in the game. So, like the staggered gas station not being a big component, one of the big things for 3 was that if you go to the gas station first, you'll get a different cutscene versus going to the gas station second. Because it was the gas station and then the pharmacy was the other place. Which, of course, the pharmacy got shortened to just like a little spot that you go into. Wow, that really didn't work, huh? Okay. Alright, thought I had something. I love that they actually give her the boots. This is cool.
Come on.
I just really wish the little elbow joint thingy was gone. Which I'm pretty sure I called a wristband the first time. Man, they better put in these 98 costumes. I'm so serious. I need some of the 98 costumes. We need more costumes. I'm getting more and more upset with the Resident Evil Resistance thing. I've heard it's fun. I've looked up gameplay and it looks cool. But I would have much rather had more Resident Evil 3. Like, I would have totally preferred, like, I don't even have to play it. I can just say it right now. I would have preferred having more Resident Evil 3 than Resident Evil 3 Remake and Resident Evil Resistance. Resident Evil 3 would have been better. If they didn't have to do it, Resident Evil 3 would have been better. And I can tell that already because mostly because of how much is packed into the original game compared to this one. And it might be simple, where it's just like one thing's here, one thing's there, but some of those places have interactions. The diner, for instance, is an interaction that you have with Nemesis. The newspaper place, which isn't even in here, not that I can think of, even represented. The newspaper place is a spot where you interact with Nemesis. What else?
Hey, easy, lady.
Oh, yeah.
Who are you? What are you doing?
There's Carlos.
I'm saving you. Come on. Let's get you someplace safe.
Yeah, he just looks weird. They didn't even try with Carlos, honestly. They didn't try. Like, it's just his hair. And, like, the hair changes. It looked like the face was different, but I can't tell if the face was actually different or if it just looked different because of the hair. Like, you know, sometimes people's faces, like, change based on their hair because different things become accented.
We've been bringing survivors here.
Here where?
So it does look like
The guys have converted some
a different
subway cars into a
face.
shelter.
But it didn't look like it when I was actually switching costumes.
I'm fine.
Personal space. Okay, I get it. Let's go.
It would have been hard to pull that one off.
Come on. Who's the dipshit that closed this?
I mean... Oh, this, by the way, is awesome. I'm pretty sure this is like an exact still from the original Resident Evil 3. Like, her being in that motion, I think is one of the things. So when I see this original costume, it's like, that's kind of what makes you realize this new design, it totally fits. It looks like Jill. Because, you know, I always had, like, the default thing, and I'm, like, for me, the face kind of stopped at the GameCube thing. Like, once they did the HD remaster for GameCube, I was like, that woman's face, that is Jill Valentine. Like, it just... I was just like, this just looks good. It looked like a real face, but, well, I guess it's because it looked like a real person's face, because it was a real person's face, but it wasn't someone I recognized or anything, and I was just like, that is a perfect face. Like, that's perfect for Jill. And so that's the face that's just stuck with me forever now. But saying this, like that, and like having that image in my head from the original Resident Evil 3, it's like, okay, I can accept the new look for Jill, because it does work. This, however... Okay, that's what it was. He didn't have facial hair. Because I'm like, It's not just the hair on the top of his head, it's like all of his hair. That totally makes him look like a completely different character, which is funny. Because that's a different person. You know, like he's not only got like the different hairstyle, but he's clean shaven. That it's just a totally different human being. Looks weird. So I think we're gonna stick with default Carlos. But
Sorry, we're gonna have to go around.
I definitely missed it
Hey, what do you know
before
about
that
that monster?
Nothing.
he didn't
Never
have
seen
facial
anything like
hair. I only noticed the
No
hair
zombie.
on the top of
He
his
knows what
head.
he wants and won't stop till he gets it.
So that's
You
interesting.
like that in a man?
But
No thanks. He's all yours.
that's funny. But not what she said, but
Promise you're in good hands.
just the crazy look
I'm with the
on his
Umbrella
face.
Biohazard Countermeasure Service. UBCS for short.
But there's
Kidding me?
so much
Are you
missing.
fucking kidding
Like
me?
I
You
said,
guys are the ones who
newspaper
caused
station.
all of this.
Most of the puzzles
What are
are
you
missing.
talking about?
Although I will say this, that last puzzle
have
in
to
Resident
trust
Evil
me,
3
but I'm going to
is like the worst puzzle in the universe.
Coming?
I remember, I wish I had the strategy guide for Resident Evil 3 so
This way.
bad. Like they actually had some cool stuff in there. Like that's how I learned that Nemesis is actually based off of Sagat from Street Fighter. Like the image of Sagat, there's like an image where he's holding somebody that he defeated. That's the image they use for Nemesis, like in the original RE3, where Nemesis has Brad like in his hands. And you can of course find that picture anywhere.
Hey, Captain.
But that image is based off of an art piece of Sagat. And I was like, that's super cool. And the fact that he's like left-handed is because Sagat is left-handed. And just like the way he's structured is based off of Sagat from Street Fighter. So that was super cool. But even in the strategy guide for Resident Evil 3, that final puzzle, which technically they could have done it because they say it's randomly generated, but I doubt there were that many.
It's Jill.
But the last puzzle is randomly generated, and even the freaking strategy guide was like, yeah, here's one example, but basically you just do this. And it's like, that doesn't help. That puzzle was confusing to me when I was really little. I was like, I don't understand this puzzle. It's tough. And then it changes. And that's the craziest thing. And I also think that's the first time I'd ever seen that happen in a video game where something would change over and over again. So that was kind of cool. But 3 did some stuff that was so unique for the franchise. Like all 3 of the games did really. Like the first game, you get different storylines between, Jill and Chris. 2, you get 2 campaigns that interlock together and they change based on the order that you do them in, so you can get the official ending. And then 3 came out with what I think was an interesting mix. It was like, you don't get to have 2 separate characters. So they took that away. You can still, play as Carlos, but it wasn't the same as like 2 full campaigns. It was like Jill was the character, Carlos had cool segments where it's like, oh, I'm playing this Carlos now, that's cool. But this one had the Nemesis element to it, and it was, I think they did it technically in the first one as well. If you did certain stuff in certain order, based on certain, like how fast you did it, like the Jill sandwich thing, you can miss that even if you play as Jill, because if you do it too late, Barry won't be there to help you, and so you have to do it like the classic way. So technically they had it in the very first game, but 3 like took it to the next level. Like there were full-on elements and cutscenes that you wouldn't get. I said to double check if I'm starting from scratch or if I'm actually about to get my items in the box, which I don't know if I am. I feel like it hasn't gotten a new game. I don't think this is New Game Plus. I think it's just a new game, and that's it. But we shall see. But so much of what I love about this
Working on
game
it. So what's the
is
plan?
missing from this remake. Like Resident Evil 2, they did some stuff I didn't particularly like how they basically made the story impossible.
Copy that. Let's do this fast.
So they definitely did some stuff in the original, or not in the original, but in the last remake where I was like, I don't like that choice. That's not my favorite choice. Yes, thank you. But I feel like there's so much more that was removed from this game. Okay, so it's not a New Game Plus. This is super weird. This is very, very, very weird. Plus, I'll do that. I hope I didn't do something wrong. Because you think... Okay. Well, technically I just saved. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, let's do this. So... Interesting. This is weird. This makes no sense. How is there not a new game plus? How is there not a new game plus? Because I said... Like, it ended... And I saved it, right? Yeah, this is it. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna try to do this again. And we'll see what happens. Cause, Huh. Huh. Skip all that. Okay, probably could have done that a little better. Yeah. This is very weird. I don't understand how there's not a new game plus. There can't not be a new game plus on a Resident Evil game. It's like a part of what makes Resident Evil is the fact that there's new game plus. That's like one of the best elements of any horror game. I didn't think that would do anything. I'm like, is that gonna actually help me or? That should be it. Can I like run through the? Okay, I cannot. Gotta do this one because I feel like this is a way more dangerous scenario. Although it could be easier, who knows? Could trick you. Oh boy.
I'm gonna put you right back on your ass.
Hold up. Ooh. Okay. I definitely saw it coming at me, but still got it. Still got it. Her face looks a little bit different in the original costume. Yeah, it's like this is pretty safe.
Come on!
Well, you gotta admit,
Take the fucking hit!
that's pretty good. That's like some Devil May Cry type stuff. So yeah, skip all of that. And then we just go upstairs and then that's it. And then I skip all the cutscenes. I tried not to shoot Carlos. That seemed easy enough. She wasn't really that shaky when it was happening. Like, she's fine. We're good. She's a professional. She has a steady hand. Weird. Where are we exactly? Like, I guess we're just in a different part of Raccoon City, but it's crazy that they have these giant freaking facilities. They have multiple super mega underground facilities in the same city, and it's just crazy. I can skip all of that. Boom, skip all of that. Skip all of that. Skip all of that too. Skip. Skip. Pointless extra cutscene that does nothing. Skip. Yes, yes, yes. I'm a loser. I get it. I understand. So it saves. Then it goes back to the beginning. And I don't think there's a new game plus. Very interesting. Very interesting. Can't say I'm happy about that. Oh, I got classic Jill. Oh, that's cool. Her with the Magnum. Zombified classic Jill. Oh, that's it. That's cool. It's cool they gave her the boots. I just realized I'm like kind of looking up her skirt or whatever this skirt pant thing. I don't know what in the world you would call that. I always just thought she had an actual skirt on, but I guess in my head it was way longer than that. I feel like it was unrealistically long because I think she had, if I remember right, in the original, she kind of. I feel like the skirt goes further down than that. I felt like it was almost like at her knees. It was like a crazy long skirt, but I guess it wasn't really like that. And also, we didn't exactly have like flowing physics or anything, so it did kind of just look stiff. So I guess it makes sense that it wouldn't be like ridiculous. Even if it was, I guess they would have adjusted it. But it's so funny. Just that little elbow band, if they just took that off. It would have been cool if they took off the carrying cases as well. But then, I guess I wouldn't care. If it was just the costume, I guess it would just be a magical light coming out of nowhere. But I guess they were trying to keep it practical. Because I would have been like, screw it, just take that off. Because I'm pretty sure she has nothing until later in the game. Then you do get the green strap. So I guess you could look at it like that. Even though these obviously are like gun and clip holsters and not like if I remember, they were like green pouches that were like on her hip when you get like the first weapon upgrade. Grenade launcher. Oh, that's cool. Check out Nemesis. Stage 2. Ugh. No, it's Nemesis Type 2. Everybody knows that. Not as cool either. I'll say that. Definitely not as cool as Nemesis. Well, I guess I'll say Nemesis Type 2. Nemesis Stage 2 is not as cool as Nemesis Type 2. Pulsates. Not as cool. I like the design. As crazy as it is, and technically, it wasn't really a mutation. It was just... No, it was definitely a mutation. It was a mutation for sure, with all the extra veins. But basically, you blow the top half of the costume off, and then he's just crazy vein city, and he's kind of, he's like basically white with the veins going through. I thought it was cool. I always thought that was a crazy design, and he's like almost pulsating, and like T-viruses like shooting out of him. He got like all the crazy, the multiple tendrils, and it's just insane. And this is kind of like a dog creature. Well, speaking of dogs, but that was kind of it. That's interesting. Oh, never mind. It looked like they start in different positions, but I guess they don't. That dog has a penis. Holy crap. They did a digital zombie dog. Zombie dog. And he's got balls. Holy crap. The detail. Crazy. Anyway. Interesting. Once again. I'm gonna have to look some stuff up, because I mean, that's crazy, right? There's no new game plus. They didn't. I mean, I don't know, game design and everything, I might as well. I can't believe that's the only freaking costume. There's a lot in here I'm starting to get really annoyed by. But it's just random stuff like, why aren't there more costumes? Why aren't there more costumes? There's 3 costumes total. I mean, dang. 2 had. So you have the one you start off with, classic costumes, and then the noir outfits, and the military outfits as well. And then Claire had the special one for the Eliza Walker costume to reference Resident Evil 1.5, which is still one of the coolest things ever. The fact that they put that costume in there, like, you know, throwing it back to the heritage of what Resident Evil is, because people love to talk about 1.5. Boom, here's a Eliza Walker costume. That's pretty awesome. I love that they did that. But way more costumes. And the game started off with all those costumes too. I think you just unlock them based on like grades and difficulty, if I'm not mistaken. Although I pre-ordered it, so I think I had all mine like unlocked from the beginning. But I don't know, that's so weird. For it to be, you know, like Leon and Claire is like, okay, they had already changed Claire to basically look like her older version. I'm still a little upset about that, by the way. Because I was like, no, she has the jacket modern day. She doesn't have the jacket in the past that defeats the character growth. Like she went from like the badass biker chick to like, you know, the badass whatever she does with that company she works for. But badass Claire. And then, you know, she ended up being like, you know, a person who's, you know, working to fight, you know, corporation to corporation and stuff. And she grew, and now she wears jackets. She's sophisticated. But she was just, you know, punk rock biker girl. You know, give her the cut off sleeves. Give her the vest. It's awesome. It's a sweet freaking vest. But Jill has a trillion costumes. I mean, I didn't want to see Resident Evil 5 in here. I'm sure, you know, I saw some comments where some people said they did. I mentioned it before, but that freaking Regina costume, if they had put that in here, it would have been ridiculous. I wonder if you can get the unlimited briefcase. God, this sucks. This just makes it a challenge, like, all over again. That's weird. Wait, so if I have this, I think this would mean that I would automatically have all of these items. And the bolt cutters are fairly important. But is that what I want to use them on? Probably should have done that. I guess this is as close as I'll get. Get like extra weapons and stuff. Although I have to complete some more challenges in order to pull that one off. But maybe that's what I'll do. Where are we at? We're at 30 minutes. I guess this is what we're gonna do. This is so weird. Also, I shouldn't have done that. I didn't need to start a new game. I technically saved. I forgot. This makes me sad. Cause I'm a bit disappointed. I'm fairly disappointed. And it's just that sounded gross, but yeah, it's like I'm fairly disappointed. Okay, interesting. So it's just weird. Like, I already knew they weren't putting the choices in. That was one thing. That was like the big thing really with Nemesis, because that's, if that had been in there, I think I would have liked the game a lot more, because it would have given it that sense of what it was like in the original game. But I don't think that they could put that in there because they made the game so much shorter. Like, I don't think Let's see if this. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm just strolling out here with a knife. But yeah, the options.
Gotta get that train.
Okay, yeah. Bye. But okay. But yeah, like the options that we have, it's interesting. Oh, I thought for some reason that I could walk right past them. That was incorrect. Alright, do this. Okay. Interesting. Thank you. Nope. Like this puzzle got shortened into nothingness, basically. See, I don't know.
Carlos, I've reached the main avenue.
There's just so much missing.
See a big transmission tower? That's the substation.
Like this, it takes forever to get to that portion, and it's like boom. That's where you're going right off the top. Like there's only two real sections. There's only two real sections. That's kind of how it feels. And you run in circles once Nemesis comes. Her eyes are so wide open during that scene. I didn't mention it when I first started playing, but her eyes are just like too far back. It's weird. Try to slip past these folk here. Run up, get my ladder. Interesting. Oh, I wonder if they have to add a new game plus, right? It would just be insane to not add new game plus, because that's insane. Cool. So they have to add New Game Plus. I know they won't add Mercenaries because RE Resistance, which is fine. You know, I still miss Mercenaries mode. Like, I would love for someone. Well, I guess someone would just be Capcom and the developers. But I would love for them to bring back Mercenaries. They should do both. Honestly, they should do both versions of. Was there something over here? Yes. Okay, let me do this. Classic Jill. Oh, S.T.A.R.S RPD special team. Yeah, special team. And I'm just like, focus on boobs. There's something else here. Put all of this away. So much. I'm very curious to watch some reviews about Resident Evil. I want to see what other people think, because this is weird for me. Like 3 is my favorite Resident Evil. Oh, I doubt I could really pull that off. Okay. I was right. I could not pull that off. However, that helps. That does help. 937. So I was watching Maximilian Dude on YouTube, And he still had the original 918 code, although he had an early version of the game, so that could have been it. But I was like, huh, that's really interesting. Okay. But aside from the choices not being there, the time element isn't there either, where you can like the Stagla gas station thing, like, oh, I'm gonna go here first, or I'm gonna go there first. I actually hit the bar. I didn't think it would do it. I honestly thought it would have to go right through. Whew. Technology. So many things shortened. And this was a whole puzzle. I feel like the battery pack that comes up later in the game is meant to be like a bit of a substitute for a bit of a substitute for what this was supposed to be initially, because it was gonna be if I remember right, I mentioned it before, but I'm pretty sure it was a battery pack. Like, that was the big thing. Alright, so I'm gonna save it and I'm gonna end it there. Because I'm just gonna repeat myself. A little sad. Little sad about it. It's like, I feel like there's not enough gameplay. I mean, there's not. I mean, of course, coming off of 2, that was the big thing. It's literally 2 separate campaigns. It was just like that from Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 3, the originals. But this also takes out all the things that help substitute the lower time. Like, it was replayability. You find cutscenes that you can't possibly find at the same time. Like, you have to play through it twice. And you might not even know that. You might just be like, oh, okay, I do this, I do that. You know, maybe that same thing happens to be easier, so you never realize there's even another cutscene for you to get. You can get, actually, you can get items the same. Yeah, items are the same, except for fighting Nemesis, so that, you know, much like this one. The option to fight Nemesis, stuff like that, it just takes all that out. And it's like, huh, weird. You know, when you just go through the 5 hours, that's it. And I don't know. I don't know. It's just so weird. It's so weird. I feel like you do so much more stuff in the time frame of the original game. And then plus there's the choices. But you see so much more stuff to me. Like, everything in here is like you kind of go through and it's just a little reference. But in the others, it was like, this is where you fight Nemesis. Or that's where you fight Nemesis if you happen to go there first. You know, stuff like that. So it's just weird. It's weird to have it feel so linear, I guess, is the best way I can really think to put it, because this was the one that really had all these weird branching paths of how something happens, like Nikolai killing the one guy. If you do one mission first, you know, you don't see that. You just see the person dead. Or if you go to the pharmacy, I think that's what it is. If you go to the pharmacy first, you see Nikolai shoot him and take off. But if you go to the pharmacy second, you don't get that cutscene because you weren't there. So you just see a dead body and it's like, oh, I wonder who killed this guy or whatever. You don't know that it's Nikolai. And it's cool. And that's just not something you get here. So it's just weird. Like, it's so streamlined, but not in the best way. Oh, well, I guess that's my thoughts on it. I still enjoy it, but I feel like you really get to live more inside of 2, because you do the backtracking, and they took out the backtracking, it feels like. I mean, technically you do, but it's such a minuscule amount. Like, you get the clippers, like, okay, I have to go back and I have to, you know, get the shotgun, and then you go and you turn the things on, then you go back. So I guess there's a decent amount of backtracking when you really go through all of it that you have to do before you can leave the segment. But I feel like not much really happens as you do that. You get 2 Nemesis chases, and then the final one where he's chasing you back to the subway, and that's where you can take him down. Huh. That's interesting. I might just look it up on YouTube to see what weapons and items you get from Nemesis if you down them like every time. because I'm curious. I doubt they have it because I feel like you don't run into them as much as you do. I mean, in the original game, you run into Nemesis like 7 different times or something insane like that. Like, and that's like including if you fight them, because you get the first thing that you get is like the parts to the handgun, like the Killer 7. So that's like A and B. So that's 2. Then you get like a sawed-off shotgun, which is really cool. When I first unlocked that, I thought it was super sweet because she even holds it differently because it's like it's a short gun. So she actually holds it on her wrist, and when she shoots it, she like flicks it like the Terminator 2 thing. Super cool. I was like, this is the sweetest thing ever. So that's 4 times. And then I think the 5th time you get the first aid case, and you can put 3 first aids in 1 slot, which is a really cool little thing to add. So that's 5. And then I think the very last time is when you get the infinite ammo case. So that would be 6. So 6 separate times. And that's probably the same in here. Maybe. I feel like it's really just one giant piece though. Like him chasing you to the subway, I feel like that's just one big segment. Because he bursts through the wall, you shoot over it, like you get your little glimpses of like freedom as you go through certain doors, and then he just drops back in. So it's so segmented that it's just like it just feels overly scripted, I guess. Or well, I guess it just feels completely scripted. I shouldn't say overly scripted. It's just completely scripted compared to what feels a bit more organic from the original. So, oh, it's weird. It's weird. I need to see what other people are thinking about this one for sure, because I've been waiting to look at what anybody thought or any thoughts or opinions. I was like, I just gotta wait, see it on my own, and unfortunately, I just don't think it held up. Like for me, I still think the original RE3 is like the best. That or the RE remake for GameCube. It's like still goes back and forth, but if I had to choose, I'd have to say it's 3. 3 is my favorite Resident Evil. And this, I feel, doesn't really do it justice. It's like 2 was altered for the worse, but I feel like 3 just took chunks out. It wasn't really altered, it was just cut. That's how it feels, and that's what it is, because they had to make it shorter because they were doing the RE Resistance. But I really do wish that they never did that and they just saved it like surprise Resident Evil 3. And then it could have been a 10-hour game. Like 10 hours is kind of short. I mean, in this day and age, that's kind of short. Like unless you're a big multiplayer game, I guess. Call of Duties and stuff, they get the 4 or 5 hour cool epic campaign, but it's like longevity is online, and maybe that's what they're going for, and hopefully it works. Maybe it'll be something good, something unique. So we'll see. So that'll be the next one. That one might be a minute because I'm gonna legitimately have to like pay to do that one and go online. So that might be a minute, but for now, Resident Evil 3. I got to see what the world thinks. So thanks for joining me for the campaign. Would love to know your thoughts. Where the F are all the extra modes? Where are the beautiful costumes? Jill is our first lady. She needs every one of her costumes should have been redone. She's the leading lady. It's Jill and Chris. They are the first 2. It's like they need every costume. Just throw them in there. Heck, what would have been super cool? Is if they put it if they weren't redoing Dino Crisis, if they put in the dinosaur costume from Dino Crisis in here, because in that Regina wears like it's almost like the Flintstones, and so she has like a yellow dress with like black diamonds on it and stuff like that, and it changes your weapons into bones. Like the image was like her with a shotgun, but it was just like a big leg bone, and I always thought that was so cool. That would have been awesome if they put that in here. But we need more costumes. I mean, we've got our classic. Got the classic. That's nice. Would have been really interesting if they did the alternate costume from the original Resident Evil. That would have been cool to see. Which I think they have in something. I think in like one of the Mercenaries modes, they actually have that costume like redone in newer graphics. Or maybe that was a mod. I've definitely seen it, so you can still see it. But either way, that's just me rambling. I wish it was longer. I wanted to see more stuff. I wanted to have more interaction with Nemesis before it was Nemesis Type 2. I felt it was too little time, just all around. Like it was shorter. So it's just interesting. But, you know, killed off. I feel like Brad deserved a cooler death. As something as cool as being killed by Nemesis. We didn't see Kavanaugh as much as I thought we would. It was cool to see him. I was hoping that there'd be like legit interaction. We still don't know what happened on the 3rd floor of the RPD, because I assumed, like, where I thought it was a door, it was a hole in the wall. I thought that would be us, because I was like, oh, that makes sense. So none of the explosions were Nemesis. It was actually just that. So that's really confusing as to what happened at the RPD then on that 3rd floor, because it was a big hole in the wall that led to the attic. So what happened there? So that's weird. They didn't put that in there. I almost feel like that may have been some weird thing that might have gotten cut or something, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, because if you go up to the attic, the only place you can go is the library, and that just leads into the main hall. So you could have it where you open it and maybe it locks behind you or something like that. You know, whatever, because you can't go through the door. Well, I don't know. I guess that would break the continuity if the door, because the door would be unlocked from the other side. But I don't know. I don't know. It just seems weird. Like, I thought we would get an explanation for that, and we don't. So it's like, oh, well, all right then. That's weird. So just little stuff I would have liked to have seen, stuff that feels like it's missing. But Resident Evil 3, still good. They should have put that disco costume in. I want that disco costume so bad. But thanks for joining me.
You hungry? I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. You hungry? Yeah, I'm hungry. Like I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Like I'm Shaggy. Man, I'm hungry. Man, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Yeah, man. You hungry? Yeah,